All right, Shalom, Shalom. First and foremost, as always, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha HaKodash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Salutations to you, sincere, hopefully, like Akim, pushing the word of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, in spirit and in truth. Ma'ah, Arabaim, Arabai, Alap, which is to say 144,000. And the last one, Kodash. Shalom to you, brothers, striving to be of that number. All right, coming back at you with another lesson, and this will be a quick lesson, just something that was on my spirit. Going into the various reasons in which one can fast. All right, there's reasons, different reasons in which a brother might fast or a sister might fast. It might be personal reasons, health issues, dealing with demons, asking for the Lord's provision, or various reasons. So I just want to highlight a couple of those. Right. So here in Ezra chapter 8, all right, this is getting into the time of us rebuilding the temple. Okay, us leaving captivity and going back to the homeland. And at that time, it was a very dangerous thing to do. It'd be like pretty much you gotta physically walk through a whole bunch of gang infested neighborhoods of the heathen, all right, for a modern day comparison. All right, say you got to walk through Moab, Ammon, Esau, Ishmael, Cush, Japhet, all these different neighborhoods of the heathen that don't like you, to get home, to reestablish your nation, pretty much. So that's what Ezra and the pilgrims, pretty much, of Israel were doing. Okay, so this is Ezra 8:21. It says, "Then I proclaimed a fast there at the river Ahava, that we might afflict ourselves before the Most High, to seek of Him a right way for us, for our children, for our little ones, and for all our substance." Okay, so they had children with them. They had substance, gold, silver, precious things, utensils. All right, and pretty much being on a pilgrimage, having all that. You're pretty much in the wide open for the heathen to attack and pretty much take what they want and kill who they want. Okay, so that's why Ezra proclaimed a fast. All right. "For I was ashamed to require of the king a band of soldiers and horsemen to help us against the enemy in the way, because we had spoken unto the king, saying, The hand of our power is upon all them for good that seek him, but his power and his wrath is against all them that forsake him." So that's a true statement. And with Ezra saying that, he would be ashamed to have being that he stated that to the king, then asked the king for help going back home. He didn't want that shame. Okay, so he called that fast to really solidify the protection of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Okay, verse 23, it says, "So we fasted and besought our power for this, and he was entreated of us." So the Heavenly Father actually heard. Okay, he was entreated because of that fast. All right, so that's a good example of why one can fast. All right, you wanting pretty much protection, guidance from Yahweh Shem Yahushai. All right. And also, even going into Revelation, you want more understanding in Revelation of a particular subject matter or situation. Our forefather Ezra, Ezra is a good example of that. When you go into Second Ezra, there's many accounts of when he actually fasted, the angel would have him fast, and he'd be given more revelation. All right, of pretty much the end, these end times. All right. So my next precept here in Mark 2, and I'm gonna start at verse 18. I'm gonna read this in the NLT. It says, once when John's disciples and the Pharisees were fasting, some people came to Yahushua and asked, why don't your disciples fast like John's disciples and the Pharisees do? Yahushua replied, do wedding guests fast while celebrating with the groom? Of course not. They can't fast while the groom is with them. All right, so when you think about it, it makes sense, man. You go to a wedding, you with the groom, y'all partying, living it up, you know what I'm saying, in righteousness, having a good time. You're going to be looked at as a bug out, talk about, oh, yeah, I'm fasting. It's like, why are you even here, man? You know what I'm saying? You going to a wedding, your best friend's wedding, talking about you fasting. You're tripping. All this good food, you know what I'm saying? All this nice good, the lamb, the goat, the curry goat, man, the curry lamb, the jerk chicken there, boy. The cocoa bread, all right, the plantains, okay, the salad, a Greek salad, Mediterranean salad, all right, hummus, oil, yayan, okay, all the goods, all the trimmings, fruit, alkaline water, but you on a fast. All right, that's not the time for that. Okay, and Yahushua is the groom. So the disciples, part of really being a friend of someone in being intimate with them mentally, all right, knowing their mind, them knowing your mind, y'all coming to an understanding, seeing eye to eye is over a meal. Okay, so a lot of that's why they called Yahushua a glutton and a winebibber, because he ate and drank. All right, and that was for the purpose of really bonding with his disciples. Okay, over some yayan and over a nice meal, man. Okay, but this is what Yahushua said, verse 20. But someday the groom will be taken away from them, and then they will fast. Okay, so Yahushua, he's in the spirit realm, and these are the days in which we fast, man. These is the days in which we fast for various reasons. Okay, in part of fasting is when you fast, the Holy Spirit pretty much it'll increase within you. You know what I'm saying? You receive more revelation. You get closer to Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. You learn more about yourself. You see this world for what it really is. I was talking to someone yesterday, and was talking about how I had went on a 3-day fast once, some years ago. Went to work and everything, working in a hot ass warehouse. All right, the beloved brother Taza Ayar, which is in the spirit world. He did a 3-day fast as well. Me and him both did a 3-day fast. I did one, and then some time later, a month, not a month, some months or like a year or something later, We both did one together or whatnot. And when you do a 3-day fast, man, you feel like you floating. All right, you feel your physical body feels like it's not even really there like that, and you see people for what they really are, man. And everybody at work was a damn demon. You see people's spirits. All right, like you pierce their soul and you see this person is a fucking demon. So and with that, Ezra, our forefather Ezra, was able to receive very detailed, revelation, visions. All right, because at that point you pretty much is on the level of an angel. All right. So next I want to grab my last precept. This is Mark 17 and verse 14. And I'm going to read this in the NLT. It says, at the foot of the mountain, a large crowd was waiting for them. A man came and knelt before Yahushua and said, Lord, have mercy on my son. He has seizures and suffers terribly. He often falls into the fire and into the water. Okay? And if you ever seen somebody have a seizure, you know full well that's a demon. All right? I've seen 3 people in my life have seizures up close and direct. The first one was and if I'm not mistaken, it was all Jakes too. The first one, I want to say like 18 on a bus in California going I think I was going home from school or something like that on a city bus, and it was a black Jake, a bugged out Jake. Looked like he was borderline homeless. He wasn't even old, a young dude, and just started foaming and melting into the seat, and then melted from the seat to the ground. And I was like, damn, that was crazy seeing it. I was like, this is crazy. All right. Then the next time I seen one was this light-skinned Jake in the Army outside of the battalion. Actually, it was brigade. I used to work in the brigade, the headquarters. He was outside in the parking lot on the ground. Same thing, man. Squirming and foaming and all that. I was like, shit. And then the last one was Artazawam, which used to be in the Dallas camp. He was originally in the Seattle camp with us. He was a military dude, an officer, and he fell out or whatever. He's a bug out, but he used to have seizures. Him, myself, and the elder Barak Allah from Cali. We went bowling. Those brothers from LA, a couple of brothers from LA had came up here way back in the days, like 2011. And so we were bowling, and that brother, he he didn't have like a severe seizure, but he tweaked out to where it was like somebody hit him with the Man in Black pen, and he forgot everything. Just looking into space, and nobody was home. You know what I'm saying? We had to sit him down and whatnot. It was weird, man. But yeah. So going back up here, it says the demonic. Okay, pretty much the demon. That's the demon that overtakes people that have seizures. Okay. So it says verse 15 in NLT, it says, Lord, have mercy on my son. He has seizures and suffers terribly. He often falls into the fire or into the water. So I besought him to your disciples. So I brought him to your disciples, but they couldn't heal him. Yahushua said, you faithless and corrupt people? How long must I be with you? How long must I put up with you? Bring the boy here to me. Then Yahushua rebuked the demon and the boy. And then Yahushua rebuked the demon in the boy, and it left him. From that moment, the boy was well. Afterward, the disciples asked Yahushua privately, "Why couldn't we have cast out that demon?" "You don't have enough faith," Yahushua told them. "I tell you the truth. If you had faith, even as small as a mustard seed, you could say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it would move. Nothing would be impossible." All right. So faith, Yahushua was pretty much getting them to really tap into faith. Okay. And let me read this and that's why we tap into we stick with the KJV, because notice it don't even have anything here in verse 21 for the NLT. All right, but this is the point here. It says, "Howbeit this kind goeth not out but by prayer and fasting." All right, so the way you get rid of those demons, if a brother has issues with seizures and whatnot, you got to pray and fast that demon up off you. You yourself got to pray and fast, because that's pretty much just and that can be attributed to parasites too. You got parasites. Parasites control people, man. Have you saying and doing shit that you don't even want to do. So I wouldn't be surprised if seizures were attributed to a certain type of parasite that people have in their bodies, in which we know it's a demon, it's an evil spirit that's on people that have seizures, that want to pop up here and there and say hello. All right, but fasting, okay, prayer and fasting. Let me see real quick. And then lastly, let me grab this. Luke 11:25. All right, so Luke 11:24 NLT. It says, when the unclean spirit is gone out of a man, he walketh through dry places seeking rest, and finding none, he saith, I will return unto my house whence I came out. All right, being a person, when you got a lot of brothers that are coming to the truth, and that demon is taken up off you, okay, but you gotta constantly ensure that demon remains out there in the desert and not within you, okay, which is why you have to do maintenance on yourself through the Spirit. Verse 25, it says, and when he cometh, he findeth it swept and garnished. All right, so when a demon comes back, he finds, your vessel clean and pure. All right, so he's like, yeah, we about to throw a party. I'm bringing the homies. We're gonna throw a house party. All right, we're gonna run a train on your brain. All right, verse 26, it says, then goeth he and taketh to him 7 other spirits more wicked than himself, and they enter in and dwell there. And the last state of that man is worse than the first. All right, which is why, hey, look at Hakar and Hassad, Tweedledee and Tweedledum. All right, the 2 magpies, in the words of Apostle Gabar, in which they never really were in the truth like that. All right, there was always posers, okay, but they're worse now than when they first came to the realization they was Israelites. All right, and you heard that horn go off. All right, 3 times. All right, so the demon that might have fled them, all right, is right back with a vengeance, to the point that them niggas as full-fledged Christians, man. All right. So, those are just a couple of examples of why it's important to fast. Revelation, understanding, visions, help, aids occur, provision from Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, maintenance, spiritual maintenance, combating demons. Okay. So, I pray that was edifying. Until next time, I say shalom.